This video is to not call out anyone, it is not to demonize anyone, it is simply an open-up dialogue that needs to be had about a topic that concerns gaming as a whole.
Why two brony anime furry artists with less than 2k subs have to be the ones to spark this conversation? Yeah, I don't fucking know. There's a lot of ruckus going on about the release of DOA Extreme Beach Volleyball 3. It's going to be the start of mini-games that will remain in the land of the rising sun. Part of the problem is that when people make the argument to bring over DOA Extreme Beach Volleyball 3, that's all they argue for. When that's your entire argument, it turns into a bunch of feminists strawmanning gamers into saying all they want is more Jiggle Physics. Making that argument is ignoring a wealth of games that have been imported from Japan, such as Okami, Street Fighter, and even Pokemon.
That being said, there are a number of games that are kept to the shores of Japan that have never seen a proper release in other countries, and accompanying these games are various reasons why they have never been released. A lot of the focus seems to come back to the feminist movement as the root of all evil, or SJW if you want. Some games have faced censorship based on that cause.
Some examples are Bravely Default for the 3DS. In that game, they had to age up many of the characters for cultural reasons and reanimate a bunch of sprites. In Final Fight, they censored an entire gender of one of the baddies because they feared being sued by a feminist organization. In 1989, nonetheless. And of course, there was a massive backlash over Dragon's Crown. It was so bad because they ignored almost the entire game just because of one character. They completely ignored the rest of the game, the appropriately addressed female characters and the creative gameplay, and it's all because of that ass? The company that made Dragon's Crown, Atlas Games, is a perfect example of one of the developers we could be missing out on. Games like Odin Sphere, the 3DS game Codename Princess, and many others that all seem to have that one element that many groups around here seem to despise.
Speaking of Atlas Games, there are other forms of censorship that occurred in one of the more long-running and popular franchises, Persona. In the initial release of Persona 2, you actually got to fight Hitler. Yes, that same Hitler, the one with the Charlie Chaplin mustache. However, in the PSP remake of the game, Hitler's name was changed to the Fuhrer and gave him a pair of sunglasses. I guess you could say, it made him furious. Another instance of a more sexual censorship would have to be Mara. No, you don't need to adjust your computer screen, that is a penis on a movable catapult. While this long, hard thing was in previous games of Persona and Shin Megami Tensei, when Persona 3 was initially released, this collectible Persona was oddly absent. Yet in the uncut version of the game, Persona 3 FES, you had the chance to call out this guy. Certainly surprised my mother when I fused this guy on the big screen at home. Although don't take this to mean that just censorship is the main reason behind this conversation starter. Some games don't even see a national release, and I'm talking about games that don't involve bikini-clad fighters or how it was in the SJWism that caused it. Games like Dai Gakuten Saiban or Great Ace Attorney Translated will likely not get a release outside of Japan. The Ace Attorney games in the last few years have faced this issue, with Ace Attorney Investigations 2 not being ported due to the development team being liquidated, or how Dual Destinies only got a digital release. And with the Great Ace Attorney being more entrenched in Japanese culture, the likelihood of it getting a national release is slim, even though most of the game takes place in London.
In closing, if the entire argument was about DOA Extreme Beach 3, I wouldn't give two shits. But since we're talking about losing a massive part of gaming culture, maybe you guys would be happy playing nothing but Call of Duty clones, but personally, I would rather have my Okami and such left alone.
Well, they could either play COD or Full House Tournament Fighter.
That can't be real, right? Right? Right?